Hi up, Rayvers. The great Donald Sutherland sadly dropped off the twig the other week. And a few Rayvers said I should do a tribute to him. And I appreciate it's a bit late, but it's the first free week I had. Now I thought, crikey, what Donald Sutherland films you watch? There's tons of them. So many good ones, and he's always great. So I thought I'd go back to the first film I remember seeing him in. The Dirty Dozen. Dirty Dozen. Yeah! Lee Marvin plays Maverick Major Reisman, tasked with recruiting 12 convicts from a military prison to go on a top secret mission behind enemy lines to bump off a load of Nazi generals. A lot of testosterone in this film, a lot of rugged actors, some of whom were actually in World War II, including Lee Marvin. Now, all the convicts have either got death sentences or really long prison sentences for various things, and we get to find out that some of them, maybe didn't deserve to be in prison. But then on the flip side, you've got Telly Savalas.
Loves you, baby.
Playing a racist, rapist, murderer. Yeah, so he did deserve it, didn't he?
Death by hanging.
Now, whilst a few of the Dirty Dozen are admittedly cardboard cutouts, we get to meet the key members. As I say, Telly is playing Maggot, a religious nutcase, racist, rapist, murderer. Seems completely unhinged. Jim Brown, the former Cleveland Brown, American footballer, he plays Jefferson, who killed some racist folk who were attacking him. Killed him in self-defence, so he's sort of unfairly imprisoned, isn't he? Posey, played by Clint Walker, he's like your gentle giant. Again, he got his sent into an altercation, accidentally killed a bloke with one punch because he's such a gigantic man. But yeah, he seems like a decent bloke and all. Charles Bronson plays Wadislaw. He's locked up because he shot his commanding officer who did a runner with all the ammunition when his unit were pinned down by enemy gunfire. So again, yeah, he's unfairly locked up. And John Cassavetes plays Franco, who's a Chicago mobster who accidentally killed an old man when they were robbing him. But he does come across as an unpleasant turd. And we see an early example of his turdishness when he refuses to comply with an order. And he's insubordinate in the face of authority. So Major Reisman has to remind him who's in charge.
Look, you little bastard, either you march, or I'll beat your brains out. Understand?
Oh yes, don't try and mix it with Major Reisman. Yeah, he lets the rest of the Dirty Dozen know that he's a man not to be messed with. But he was the real deal in real life, with Lee Marvin.
This is Academy Award winner Lee Marvin, an action guy, at work or play. Today, it's work.
Yeah, an action guy, Lee Marvin. Hey, I'd love somebody to describe me as an action guy. But as we've seen, there's loads of action guys in this.
It is here that Lee Marvin will star in his role as the leader of some of the toughest guys on or off a movie set.
Yeah, as I say, a lot of testosterone. Yeah, a bunch of action guys working together like that. Bet they got up to loads of antics during the filming, didn't they?
Swinging London is an ideal setting for these men. Action guys enjoying themselves on the town.
Yeah, I find it interesting watching these behind-the-scenes documentaries, seeing what the actors get up to in their free time. For example, I never knew Lee Marvin were a big fan of motocross.
On his day off, he looks for another kind of action. A motorcycle race at the Southdown Motocross.
But look at him, there he is at the motocross. Definitely there. You know, you've got all them scenes of exciting motocross, and there he is, definitely in the same place. Really enjoying a spot of English culture, just like Telly Savalas does when he's over in the UK.
In Guildhall Square, all kinds of things happen. I felt the anticipation, the excitement.
Yeah, you see, Telly's definitely there, enjoying whatever that is.
What a way to find out the time.
Now, after the Dirty Dozen have been recruited, they get trained up by Lee Marvin and his men to turn them into an elite squad of super duper crack commandos. And as part of the training, they have to go to paratrooper training school, run by the arsehole Colonel Breed, played by Robert Ryan, who Reisman does not get on with at all. But Reisman's operation is top secret hush-hush, and he don't want Breed to know out about it.
Tell him we got a general with him. Tell him any damn thing you want to tell him. But just get that West Point bum off of my back.
And because Colonel Breed's a superficial arsehole, he wants to show off all his soldiers.
Where's the general?
But we thought he might care to inspect our #1 platoon.
Except there ain't a general. Now, appreciate, I ain't mentioned Donald Sutherland yet, because whilst we've seen him in Ickle bit, he were actually supposed to be one of the cardboard cutout Dirty Dozen. You know, hardly has any lines or film. But the bits we have seen him, he stands out from the other cardboard cutouts. Does a lot of clowning about. Even here as we're watching Franco nick a pair of wire cutters, in the background you can see Sutherland clowning about, struggling to twist that thingy, whatever it is he's doing. So he's making the most of what they're giving him to do. But then it turns out he got a very lucky break, because the character Posey was supposed to pretend to be this general at Colonel Breed's parachute school. But Clint Walker didn't want to do it. He thought it were going to be disrespectful to the Native Americans, because that was the heritage of his character.
Bob Aldrich, who was the director, I mean, without blinking an eye, he didn't even know my name. We'd all had our hair shaved off. He looked around the table and he said, "You with the big ears, you do it." And it changed my life.
And Sutherland takes this opportunity with both hands, because he's absolutely fantastic as the convict Pinkley, who's obviously a plunker, pretending to be a general.
Where are you from, son?
Madison City, Missouri, sir.
Never heard of it.
And this scene is a great example of how the director, Robert Aldrich, manages to inject loads of comedy in amongst the action and the drama. And a load of directors won't be able to balance that. They won't be able to get the tonal shifts right, in my view, but I think he does a brilliant job of it. And he does a brilliant job with his ensemble. Always good with an ensemble, is Robert Aldrich, because we get plenty more fun and games with a dozen, and we get to know them all more, except for the cardboard cutouts. And we're warm to Franco as well. He starts to become a bit of a lovable goon. And also, the dozen start to respect Reisman after initially hating him. And that's probably because Reisman, deep down, is like one of them. A bit of a loose cannon, don't like authority.
Very short on discipline.
Very short on discipline.
And after he's whipped him into shape, the Dirty Dozen get to show off the newfound soldiering skills and expertise by besting Colonel Breed's soldiers in a war games exercise. And we're having so much fun with the dozen, we've almost forgotten that they've got to go on this deadly mission behind enemy lines to murder a load of Nazi generals. But we get reminded of it at the Last Supper, courtesy of a lovely murder poem.
1.
Down to the roadblock we've just begun.
2.
The guards are through.
3.
The major's men are on a spree.
Now, I'd like to know who's come up with that, because they've obviously got too much time on their hands. And also they made an equal-scale model of the chateau that they're going to do all the murdering in. Well, it ain't to scale, is it? I mean, look at them figures, they're gigantic. Sloppy workmanship, really. I mean, presumably the rhymes help folk remember the jobs. 1. Raymond's off to the John. 2. Do a poo. Yeah, that sort of thing. I wouldn't have thought they'd have had time to come up with a poem like that, let alone make a scale model and paint it up. I mean, remember, these are action guys we're talking about.
They enjoy action. It's part of their way of life. The aches and pains they suffer, the risks they take, are a price they gladly pay.
Right, now this film is nearly 60 years old, but some of you might not have seen it, and you might be intending to watch it. So, word of warning, the next section is going to contain spoilers about the mission. So if you're planning on watching this film and ain't watched it, go and watch it before you watch this bit. Alright? Yeah, we get a great cut here when they're all laid back the night before, and then it cuts to them in the plane, finishing off the murder poem, bricking it.
Mayonnaise cuts a cable, Franco cuts a hole.
And suddenly this shit has got real. Not least because Jimenez cops it before he even hits the ground.
We found him hung up in an apple tree.
His neck's broken.
But luckily it doesn't scupper the plans, which seem to consist of Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson dressing up as Nazi officers and going into this chateau to do some sneaky bits and bobs to let the dozen in and cut communications. Here's a footnote for you. One of the German guards who gets bumped off as Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson go into the chateau, that's Colonel von Strohm from Hello Hello. There you go. Anyway, this plan seems to work okay for a bit, because Wladislaw, he speaks German, whereas Lee Marvin has to make do with pulling funny faces like English folk do when we're on holiday abroad. And then when it all kicks off, you're wondering which one of the Dirty Dozen's going to go first, ignoring the bloke who broke his neck in the tree. And it's one of the cardboard cutouts who goes first, because it's his job to knock out the radio tower, but he puts his foot through the roof and gets stuck. I mean, that's shoddy workmanship, that. He's gone straight through into lath and plaster there. I mean, even if there ain't any slates, they should have some OSB board or something on there, just to prevent that happening. Bet it's not waterproof. Anyway, he sacrifices his sen to blow up the radio tower. But there's other folk, you think, I don't want them to die, I hope they don't get bumped off. And then Donald Sutherland cops it, looking very limp-wristed as he drops to his death. And to add insult to injury, or death in this case, a few minutes earlier he'd given a light to the bloke who killed him. And I always think, you ungrateful bleeder, you know, he gave you a light a few minutes ago and that's how you repay him. That's war, I suppose. Now, inside the chateau, Maggot is busy sabotaging everything because he gets sidetracked by a lady and thinks, oh, murderer, because he's a twisted nutcase. And then he decides to start shooting at his own men. So Jefferson has to do him in. Next up, we get a cardboard cutout who gets bumped off. But then we have a thrilling set piece, perhaps my favourite bit in the whole film, where Jefferson has to run the gauntlet by chucking grenades down these air vents to blow up the chateau. And they've obviously gone, oh, let's get the American footballer to do this athletic thing where he's running fast and being agile and athletic and whatnot. But, oh, it's great. And every time I find myself thinking, oh, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? Is he going to get away? He never gets away. Now Posey and the ickle Mexican bloke, Bravos, they're on this machine gun nest and you see Bravos get bumped off, but you don't see Posey get bumped off. They don't cut to him, so, you know, does he get bumped off, does he escape? I think it's implied that he's dead, but you don't see him get bumped off. Couple more cardboard cutouts bite the dust. And you're left with Major Reisman, Wladislaw, Sergeant Byron, played by Richard Jekyll, and Franco, who we've now come round to liking. You know, great performance by Cassavetes. You know, he wins you over the course of the film and transforms from a bit of a cock into a hero. But yeah, they're in this armoured car and they all escape. They all get away.
We made it! We made it! Those stupid bastards! We made it!
Stupid pillock.
But that's how it goes with men of action.
Okie-do, on to Ray's ratings. Well, I remember when I went to see this at the Flick House in the 60s, and I was so excited to go and see it. I really were hoping it were going to be good, because it looked like it were exactly up my street. So we're hoping for a 4-star film. Now, I loved it in the 60s, and watching it back just the other day, I hadn't seen it for years. But when the music kicked in at the start, oh, got the adrenaline going, it really did. Now, I know it's a bit tasteless in places, you know, quite violent, but I still bloody loved it. Bloody loved it. Some thrilling action and some brilliant actors in it. Great ensemble cast, including a star-making turn from Donald Sutherland. Yeah, bloody loved it. Bloody loved it. One of my favourite war films, this. So I'm rating The Dirty Dozen a 5-star, 4-star film. Yeah, it's inspired plenty of other films to rip it off, with varying degrees of success depending on your viewpoint. Also had a few made-for-TV sequels which got progressively crapper, one of which involved some convoluted plot about assassinating Renter-Hitler Michael Shade, Mr. Bronson from Grange Hill for you younger ravers. And the producers obviously hoped that the audience wouldn't notice that Lee Marvin, Richard Jekyll and Ernest Borgnine had suddenly got 20-year older. But what were even dafter than that were in the last couple, Telly Savalas with a Major, which I didn't get because he was a racist rapist murderer in the first one. Didn't understand that at all. And where's his neck gone? He ain't got a neck. It looks like one of them old cartoon Weetabixes there, doesn't he? Anyway, don't bother with them sequels. They're crap.
This is Ray Ruttle, an action guy, at work or at play. Today, play. Ruttle relaxes with a different kind of action, spectating at the World Conquer Championships in Ashton, Northamptonshire. Ruttle used to be a fierce conquer competitor, but now gets his kicks from being in the midst of a vicious conquer battle royale.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my review of the Dirty Dozen Rayvers. And if you did, poke the old like button for me. Give it a good old poke. Or maybe whack it with Conker. Probably a bit early for Conker, isn't it? Yeah, not Conker season. And remember to share my reviews with your mates. And subscribe to the channel if you ain't already a subscriber. Much appreciated. As are all the lovely comments you lot keep popping on. Fantastic, really make me day reading them. Apologies if I don't get around to responding to them all, but yeah, they're great. And a huge sincere thank you for everybody who has become a patron via my Patreon page. Yeah, if you want to support the channel and submit your requests every month to the rotating review randomizer, then pop over to my Patreon and become a patron or a nickel patron, and you will get my sincerest gratitude. I'll pop a link in the description below. Any road, copyright box permitting, I will be back with another review for you very soon. So I will see you next time. Okie doo!